So the BioWare Anthem live stream just came to a close. Unfortunately, it came to a close a bit earlier than planned. They were having a lot of issues on the internet side of things, and they were having issues on the streaming side of things. They started dropping frames left and right. And Mike Gamble, Sabine, who's a level designer over at BioWare, they really tried to push through. They really wanted to show off the game to us. But unfortunately, they decided to call it quits while they could. They'll be holding another live stream in the very near future where we'll finally see the revamp of the Lost Arcanus mission. They're going to bring some other devs on board and hopefully even have a chance to show us some additional missions and some additional actual gameplay. That all being said, there's still a lot to talk about because we got to see a nice chunk of Fort Tarsis, and Ben Irving went ahead and posted a blog post earlier today. Basically, what you need to know is that Anthem is coming along nicely. The game is now in its play-at-home build state, which is a point at which the devs can finally take home builds of the game so they can play at home away from the office with other members of the dev team, close family who might be involved, and actually see what the game is like when you're at home, when you're playing over the internet. He talked about being able to boot up with John Warner for the first time and seeing him come in with his Javelin and just how exciting that was for them to make that progress. This makes a lot of sense because today we also got a little bit of a update on the Anthem alpha testing. So a link started going around for the EA community testing site, giving people the opportunity to sign up for a closed Anthem alpha test, which is actually happening December 8th and December 9th. This is not something that BioWare officially tweeted, and the link, since it went live, has already become dead. When they do testing like that, it's usually very, very small form factor. It's very closed testing. It is under NDA. So if you had a chance to sign up, great. There's a good chance you might actually get invited and have a chance to play the game. It is happening on all three platforms, Xbox One, PC, and PlayStation 4. For the rest of us who may not get in, it's just good to know that they are finally giving the game out to people in the wild and starting to open up their testing process. This could, of course, potentially lead to bigger alpha tests, more open alpha tests, more open beta tests, and hopefully eventually testing before the game releases where the community and the people who are participating can actually talk about it out in the wild. I think stuff like that is very important. I understand the game might be, early, 3 months from launch. There's not a lot of polish on it right now. They want those people to just have that internal tech testing. But a month before launch, 2 months before launch, as we get closer, it's nice to see people actually able to talk about the game in a public forum. As much as that has to be terrifying, I think it's something that should happen. And if it does, I think it'll be quite awesome. So keep an eye on that. That's going to happen at some point. Let's move on and talk about what we did get to see during the live stream today. So for Tarsis, we got to see a tech test environment. This is like one of the most stable builds they've had for the game thus far. They say they're very happy with it. And so it was also a bit under construction. That said, it was also under construction for Tarsis because it's supposed to be. So we now know that as you start off the game and you're introduced to the earliest areas of Fort Tarsis, like the Enclave, Fort Tarsis itself isn't in its best state. It's not living its best life. Not all of the people within the walls of Fort Tarsis are living their best life. It's kind of run down. Things are in disarray. All the shops aren't open. Hell, you can't even access, every section of Fort Tarsis. The whole place is just kind of struggling. As you play, Fort Tarsis is going to grow along with you as you grow through your experience in Anthem. It's going to start to open up a bit more. Shops are going to start to open. People are going to start to move things around. Hopefully, Fort Tarsis will just become more alive as you push forward through the game. I think that's really cool because BioWare, since day one, has talked a lot about building the game as a world that can grow and that can change and be altered as you experience it. And they're obviously doing that by baking in some of those elements right from the get-go. So seeing Fort Tarsis expand and come to life as you play the game, I think is going to be really freaking cool. I love the idea of that. They talked about there being a tavern in the Fort Tarsis that we'll be able to go to, interact with other people, hang out. You got to have that bar type setting that is very classic BioWare at this point, to have some place just to chill out. We did get to see a bit of the market, which leads right to the Forge, which is connected to the Vault, as well as some of the Strider bays, where a lot of repair and other things can be happening with the Striders themselves. So there was a lot of really cool world design within the small chunk of Tarsis that we got to see that I was really into, to be honest. We also now know that the Vault is, of course, the place where we're going to store our inventory, is going to have limited space. So it's going to be interesting to see how they handle that in a world where we know people love to hoard. This is a problem that Destiny has faced pretty much forever. But right now they're saying, hey, limited space, you're going to have to scrap some stuff and only hold on to the things that matter most to you. We also got to meet a couple characters, including Zoe, who has a very strong relationship with our character as a freelancer. Zoe appears to be a javelin mechanic of sorts. We even get to see a little bit of brief dialogue using the dialogue system. And it was just a great opportunity, alongside of the interaction we get with Tessin, that I'll talk about in a second, to see some actual character development, to see some dialogues, to see some story delivery. All in all, I'm really impressed with what they've showcased so far. And it really came to a head with the cutscene that we got with Tessin for the Lost Arcanus mission. So as Mike walked up to his javelin, Owen comes running up like, "Hey, you told me to meet you here." And she's like, "No, I didn't." "Okay, well, why are we here?" And then all of a sudden, like, "Why is it so quiet?" And then Tessin sort of rolls up like that, gunslinger in the Wild West, like, "Oh, hey, freelancer." She's got her own set of bodyguards. Tessin is a Corvus agent. We know the Corvus are kind of CIA type folks, and Tessin very much comes across that way. She's very sure of herself. She's very aware. She clearly carries some power and some reputation with inside of the walls of Fort Tarsis, and she tells us about Matthias Sumner. He's gone missing out in the wilds. She believes he is alive. He can, defend himself. He knows a lot about Shaper tech, but she needs you to go find him and bring him back. This scene is like about 30 seconds, maybe a couple minutes long. Was really powerful for me because it was the first time that we got to see like a proper cutscene with dialogue delivery and storytelling and characters finally having an opportunity to really flesh out their personality. We've seen a little bit of all of this in past trailers. We've seen a little bit of Owen. We've seen a little bit of Hollick, but this was the first time where I was like, wow, I totally get Owen's character now. When I see some of the writers talk about how he's a little bit awkward, a little bit bouncy, very youthful. He's obviously a much younger Cypher, much more inexperienced Cypher. You totally see that in Owen. The way he interacts with Tessin is wonderful. And he makes this silly smirk to you, the freelancer, as he walks away from Tessin, sort of saying, "Yeah, we'll see you later." Just very confident, very goofy. I don't know. I really liked that. It was just, again, great dialogue delivery. It felt just well written, and it felt natural. I think more importantly, when you haven't really experienced the game yet, when you haven't had a chance to really get into the world, you want to watch a piece of dialogue for the story, for a cutscene, for any interaction between any two characters in the game, and you want it to feel natural before you've even got a chance to know what natural should be for that world. You want it to just come across as, okay, let's hear what Tessin has to say. I'm interested in this already. And that's kind of where I stand after having watched that cutscene. And it was also beautifully animated as well. Seeing Tessin's bodyguard walk in that javelin, and just hearing the pneumatic clank of things as it walked down the front of the forge was just really beautiful. There's just a lot here that, stuck out to me as someone who really gets deep into the details of the games I play. And I came away just really, really happy. I gotta be honest, for me, I haven't really concerned myself with anything that's gonna happen inside of Tarsis because we haven't seen enough of it for me to really care. I'm just sold on Anthem because of the gameplay opportunity here and the aesthetic. That's where I was already hooked and ready to rock and roll. This is the first time where I really feel like, okay, now I'm interested in Tarsis. Show us more, tell us more, and I can't wait to, start to see how my story plays out with inside of Tarsis. So it was a really pleasant surprise. Despite the disaster that the rest of the stream ended up being for them, it was great to see Tarsis and to see that bit of dialogue between Tessin, Owen, and you, the character, as the freelancer. Let me know what you guys thought if you had a chance to check it out. Again, I'll keep you in the know for when the next live stream is going to happen. Hopefully it'll be sooner than later. We'll have a chance to see that Lost Arcanus mission as it's been revamped on master difficulty with some interceptor footage. And I'm also excited to meet more members of the dev team. It was awesome to have Sabina there, an actual level designer talking about the work she's done in Fort Tarsis, and also being really cautious about what they showed off because she wanted people to be able to really experience things firsthand for themselves. And I like that sense of preservation they all have, where they're like, yes, we want to show you the game, we want to be transparent, but we also want you to experience it for yourself. We don't want to just ruin every single possible surprise for the sake of, ensuring that you think this is a good game and not something else. Anywho, thank you guys so much for watching, and as always, remember to be awesome to one another, because at the end of the day, this is all we got.
The most